That's Franz Ferdinand, quite fairly new band, aren't they?
Yeah, from Glasgow.
Doing very well. Great band, great album, and that's a great single.
It's called Take Me Out. It was out last Monday.
We have been joined by Mr. John Hurt, ladies and gentlemen. We could not be happier or prouder. John, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
You know you're one of the best.
Am I?
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Yes,
there's no doubt about it. I've never seen a performance by you which I haven't enjoyed. Whenever I know you in something, it gives it an extra cachet, an extra dose of quality. It's so nice. And I was watching the Alan Clark Diaries last night, was knocked out by them. I thought they were tremendous.
Well, I'm really delighted. They've had such a humble beginning, and it seems to have escalated enormously. So, and I'm very pleased for Katie, the producer, and for John Jones, who directed it. So.
It's interesting because it's one of those subjects which I wouldn't have thought I would have warmed to particularly. I wouldn't have thought would necessarily have made, an entertaining, gripping and amusing drama. Presumably, those guys you mentioned, they saw something in the diaries themselves.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, when I read it, it had an enormous substance to it. And you thought, well, if this works, this could be very good. But I don't think anybody had any idea that it would work in to the degree that it seems to have done so.
Yeah, it's one of the most entertaining British homegrown shows I've seen for years, I think. I just sat there really enthralled and delighted and amused and stimulated. It really is I know I'm raving about it here, but genuinely that's the effect it had on me last night.
Well, of course, I mean, Alan Clark is a brilliant sort of subject for drama in any case. Even though it's not quite a drama, it is a diary when we constantly had to remind ourselves of that.
Of course.
But he's so consistently inconsistent that he makes for great drama.
But it's brilliant. You realise the level of self-awareness he had, and he seems so human, so fallible, so aware of his own shortcomings, and so open in his own desires as well, which I know is the point of diaries and diarists generally. But even then, I was struck by the honesty and the level of his own awareness.
Absolutely. He used to get so curmudgeonly and angry about things as well. And then at the other times he'd be almost sentimental about things, And so there's a huge area to wander around.
It's very poignant as well. I mean, his awareness of, this is a wonderful summer's day and it's another one I'm wasting. How many more will I see disappear doing things I don't want to do? And when he goes to a farm at one stage that he's thinking about buying and he thinks about starting anew, it's really quite powerful.
Very, yeah. Yes, I don't know. I can't comment on that.
You don't have to. I think I've said enough.
You said it. I mean, I'm just delighted. That's how you feel.
No,
of course,
it's tremendous. Jenny Agutter is great in it. I mean, I imagine it's a difficult idea to bring to life because a lot of the time you're seen reacting to things, so that we can then hear your internal thoughts, so that the monologue that's going on in your head is. So presumably, as an actor, there's a lot more looking and thinking and.
It's a gift for an actor, in a sense, because it's the only time in my life that I've actually had a director saying, John, can you think a bit longer? It's been, can you just cut that pause down? Instead of, can you lengthen that pause? What? Yes, thank you.
And it's all there, it's all on the face. It really gives you a chance to show what you can do. It must be a nice treat to have something like that to get your teeth into.
It is, yes. It was completely enjoyable. I really did enjoy it enormously. It was very, very hard work because we did 3 hours screen time in 4 weeks, which anybody who knows about filming knows that's nigh on impossible.
Yeah, really an awful
lot. But we did manage it. We did do it, and it was a gigantic effort from everybody, really. So I mean, and that kept everybody together. And I think it was the intensity made it.
He's a very contradictory character himself, isn't he, of course, because he's talking and thinking quite often about his love for his wife, his devotion to Jane.
At the same time.
At the same time, he's a terrible philanderer.
Terrible philanderer.
And
yes.
It's just about every woman
even worse than him. I mean, he was. I've heard many people say that if a woman looked at him, he immediately construed that as being fancy. So it's she clearly fancies me. So there was a certain amount of delusion at the same time.
I suppose he was quite handsome, and you're handsome. I think you're more handsome in a different way. I think you have more kind of like traditional good looks. And yet there was one moment in the opening sequence in the photograph they used where they freeze you in black and white, where you do look a lot like him. They've managed to capture the sort of a certain look.
Well, I hope that if we didn't try to look like him, we didn't try to sound like him either. But I think when you get underneath the skin of a character, then there becomes, if you're getting anywhere near the essence of the character, then there becomes a kind of likeness. That's the only way I can think of it.
Do you think he was a good man?
Oh, I don't have any doubts of that. I don't have any doubts that he was an extremely good man. Yeah. Yeah,
that's what came across to me as well. And I hadn't thought that. I suppose I come from the generation that grew up generally thinking Tories bad, Labour good.
He was capable of being extraordinarily inept. and make gigantic mistakes. But I don't think that he was. I don't think he did them on purpose, and I don't think he was realising he was doing them. And I don't think that that was actually indicative of whether he was good or bad either.
There's the classic bongo land statement that he made about Nigerians.
I mean, you can't be more inept than that. But it's not. I don't think for a second that he was a racist.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't meant.
It's just that he. It was. It was just.
He's just a bit of an idiot.
Came into his head, and he said it. You know.
Yeah.
And that's one of the nice bits in the film, because it's been on all the trailers. You know?
How many other in these?
There's a huge intake of breath, and he said, "What?"
He doesn't realise, does he? It's sort of charming, sweet, and it sort of sums up everything about people from that background, like why they were out of step with so many people, but not intentionally, and not kind of out of a mean-spiritedness or a dislike of them, just a kind of ignorance, really.
No, yes, no, absolutely. Just, well... Yes, I suppose ignorance, yes, just not being in touch.
Ignorance sounds harsh, I know, but that's kind of correct. And Jenny Agutter is terrific in it with you, of course. There's one moment...
She's fantastic. She's great casting, too, because it's Jane, who was an advisor on the film. They do share a lot of similarities. I'm sure that, if they were here, they might disagree with that. Yeah. But I think there are similarities. They both have a military background. They both have soldier fathers. Yeah. And they're both no-nonsense. And they're both... have a vulnerability, but they're also tough.
It just really is lovely acting to watch. I mean, there's a scene where, I think in the separate episode, where Alan comes back and he's furious about something that's happened in Westminster, and he storms past her. She's doing the Christmas tree. No, he's looking for pliers at Christmas, and he walks past her, and when he's out the room, she's smiling to herself, sort of a mixture of fondness and just awareness that this is him at his blundering, blustering best. And then as soon as he walks back in, her smile disappears because she doesn't. And it's just so lovely, so subtle and discreet, and yet really effective.
Yeah. That was quite an interesting scene, too, because Jane was there when we were shooting that scene, because it was all inside the castle. And as I was screaming around trying to find the bloody pliers and so on, she came up afterwards and said, that's a scene that, honestly, it could have been Alan.
Fantastic.
He said it could have been Alan. And he said he was incapable of doing anything quietly.
But how lovely to get that kind of endorsement from her, I would have thought.
Oh, she was so helpful. Yeah. She was really, really incredibly helpful on the film. I remain indebted to her.
How many are there in the series?
How many episodes? There's 6 episodes.
6. So I've seen 2, so I've only got 4 more to go. Already I'm missing it. What a great thing as well to have another such strong part to be identified with, because, of course, I would have thought in your career, I know you've played many, many different roles and been in many movies and television productions, but I guess one associates you most immediately with Quentin Crisp and The Elephant Man.
Well, there's always a couple that stand out above anything else, whatever you do about it. You can't...
But in a way, this is the most kind of human, I guess. I know Quentin was human, but he was flamboyant and he was larger than life.
Well, I often wonder what it is, what the mixture is that makes one thing stand out further than another. Because, I've done films that Stephen Frears' film, The Hit, I liked enormously,
that was terrific,
and so on. But it was a quiet film in terms of notoriety, in a sense. Whereas something like this, which, as I say, started very humbly and has escalated into being something which is considered by the majority.
Yeah, well, I hope it snowballs in the success, and I hope it still does well for BBC4. But what night was it on? Because I saw it on tape and I didn't know.
It was on Thursday.
So it'll be next Thursday, Thursday
yeah.
every week, and then it's going on to BBC Two after that.
It's going on to BBC Two in March.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have terrific hair for any age. Look at John's hair for a second, will you? Look at the thickness, the quality, the style, the coiffure, the way it's... Everything about it's working, John. You've got it going on in the hair department.
Well, look, come on, let's shake hands on that. There's nothing wrong with your hair, is there?
You know the only one who's got better hair than us? Melvin Bragg.
Oh, yeah, he's got a...
Best hair in the country.
Best hair in the country.
I don't know what he does with it, but there's something about going on there, on the hair front.
Mm. Doesn't do anything to it, does he?
Doesn't do anything. I think it's just natural. He's just blessed. It's genetics.
Yeah. Oh.
We can look on in wonder and amazement. It's like a thing.
No product.
No product at all.
No.
Where do you live now, John?
I live in Soho.
Oh, in Soho. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
You're not really a drinker so much anymore, though, are you? Do you still drink alcohol?
I still drink alcohol, but I'm not a drinker.
Not as wild as... Because there was a period where you were...
I couldn't do that now.
Full on.
Oh, there was a period. There was a period that I went through a lot of unhappiness, and there was a period when I was too enthusiastic. Yes, there were. But no, I don't do that now.
And do you find it hard to drink in moderation, or do you now, because those other issues, I guess, aren't there in your life? It's not a problem.
Well, I mean, it's easy. I don't drink when I'm working now, and I don't smoke when I'm working. But I do like a drink. I like wine. I don't drink anything other than wine.
Red wine or white?
Both.
Ah.
But usually red with food, and if I'm having a drink without food, then I have white wine.
Have you ever drunk wine from one of those hats you see at sporting events with a holder on each side and straws that go down to the mouth?
No, I haven't, John.
No, nor have I.
No.
Andy?
No, I haven't, no.
No, you haven't either.
Maybe we should...
Well, none of us have.
You can have white and red in each one.
Why don't we clear an afternoon and
drink out of a hat?
See how it feels. Could we ask you to do a tiny bit of John Mayer for us? What? I know it's wrong of me to ask.
Let me play a record.
Hold it. Shh. Oh, I think we might get some.
What, a bit of John Merrick?
Yeah.
Potatoes.
Fantastic! That's all you need, you see? That's all you need. I wish they'd make a sequel. He could have had a brother or something, couldn't he?
Well, John Merrick in Heaven.
He solves crimes. A brother who solves crimes.
John Merrick in Heaven, who's absolutely radiantly
Even better.
beautiful.
In Heaven with Kurt Cobain. Something for everyone. Let's play another quick track and then we're back with John after this. Canned Heat. Lovely little burst there, Canned Heat. John was kind enough to do a tiny bit of The Elephant Man for us there. Does that, I mean, presumably that affects your life drastically because it was such a success, but also the issues around that man and his complaint itself, you're still associated with, I believe, you know?
Well, I am, yes. It's called Proteus syndrome. And I was asked to become the patron of the foundation, and I was only too happy to do it. Where I find a real difficulty is because there are only about 20,000 cases worldwide, but it's a ghastly thing.
I
because
didn't realise.
There's constant amputation and so on and so forth.
But that's
and
a lot
never
more.
Goes away.
That's a lot more than I would have imagined. I thought it was far rarer.
It's quite a number of people, but on the other hand, it isn't a sufficient number to be able to get the full power of scientific research. And I find myself wondering what I can do for them and say for them, you know, in their manifestos and things. So it just occurred to me when I did my potatoes that it would be a good time to make people more aware of the charity.
And presumably they've got a website or something, I would have thought.
They do have a website, yes.
So you do a search for Proteus, you'd find it's Proteus.
I think you probably would, Proteus,
okay,
yes. Proteus syndrome.
I'll have a look at that when I get home.
Yeah.
I didn't realise. There was a documentary on John Merrick himself recently in which I think they used computer technology to work out how he might have looked if he had not had that particular syndrome. Hugh Grant, dead ringer.
Interesting, yes.
Just like Hugh Grant. Or was it Liz Hurley? It was one of them anyway, I get them mixed up. Do you prefer making TV stuff or do you like working on movies? I mean, I imagine it's a fairly different experience, isn't it?
It's... Well, I mean, TV's... we would, as I say, we shot 3 hours of screen time in 4 weeks. So, I mean, it was hell for leather. But then films are as well. You know, it doesn't make any difference. The bigger the film, you still, the bigger the fall, as it were. So you're working just as hard, really. The only thing is, of course, you're not on every day. Think about this one. It was non-stop. But that in itself actually provides an energy.
It really was all on you as well, this one. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And you got to watch it, Andy. It's terrific. The Alan Clark Diaries on BBC4 every Thursday night. Try and catch up. I'm sure they'll repeat the first one, I would have thought, between now and next Thursday. The other thing I was going to ask you, I forgot what I was going to ask John at the end now. Hold on, bear with me. Can't remember now. I had something of burning. This is going to drive me mad.
Yeah, because you're.
We're going to go home now. And we won't have asked it. Oh, I'm so furious with myself. I can't think. Anyway, there was something I desperately need to know. I might need your number so I can call you later.
Right.
What's the latest I can call you if this thing reoccurs to me?
What's the latest?
What time are you going to bed tonight?
Midnight.
All right. Well, if it comes to me before midnight, I'll give you a call. I might have to squeeze it up to 12:30 because that's sometimes when I do my best thinking.
Okay. Well, I've got a phone by the bed.
It's going to drive me mad.
Yeah.
All day now. It's completely gone.
Well, go on, retrack.
No, I can't.
Proteus syndrome, BBC4, Alan Clark, Jenny Agutter.
Probably before I mentioned Proteus syndrome.
Was it? No, it was something else altogether.
Something else was in your head.
Jude, the woman who plays the secretary, was it that?
No, I can't remember now. It's gone now.
Julia Davis.
No. Well, she's great, but you're making it worse
she's
now.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Did Little Malcolm and the Eunuchs ever surface the film that George Harrison made of your stunning theatre debut back in, was it 69?
Yes, it was probably the most expensive home movie ever made, I think. But it didn't really... I think he'd got a couple of showings in town.
I'd love to have seen it. I wonder what he's done with it now. I wonder what
kind of interesting. George used to love it. He used to play it all the time.
Yeah, because he mentioned to me the one time I spent an afternoon with him once, had a very pleasant time, met him, and he told me about that, because that's how he kind of always had a love of cinema, how handmade films came to be, I guess. But I would love to have seen it.
Lovely story about the Lord Chamberlain about that one, when I first did it on stage. It was because you had to send everything to the Lord Chamberlain to get it dealt with. And Michael Codron, who produced it, sent it to the Lord Chamberlain, and it came back with the word arse pencilled out sometimes, but not blue pencilled other times.
Right.
So they're all on sort of telephone terms anyway. So he called up the Lord Chamberlain and said, look, what's the problem with the word arse? It seems to be blue pencilled sometimes and other times not. And the Chamberlain said, oh, Michael, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the word arse, unless there's any reference to something coming up it or something going down it.
You know what? On that note, we're going to leave you.
Okay.
John, lovely to see you again. Congratulations. The Alan Clark
Thank you very
Diaries.
much, John.
What an achievement. 88 to 91 FM, this is Radio 2 from the BBC.